What's up, everybody? More TF2 with Doc Fortune here. We're going to jump right into some games. Oh, what do I feel like doing? We always usually go just casual. There's not, unless we're doing man versus machine, there's not much point to do other things. We could do some capture the flag, but it's going to be boring and we're not going to get anywhere because people just turtle up. They just hide in their bases, and if both people are defending, then nobody gets the flag. Let's see what we got dealt here in the shuffle, the casual shuffle. Venice. This map's okay. It's a little bit too big, and there's a little bit too many different angles and alleys, and especially places that people can get the high ground on you. There's a little bit too much of that, but it's an interesting looking map, and it's kind of fun. That's all I can say for it is it's kind of fun. We're gonna go medic. Gonna be some real good dudes. Heal up the team. We're defending, so that's helpful. Also, the team's fucking losing, so they need the help. Let's keep old Scouty alive here. I'm healing bread. Oh, you're getting killed, fellas. I can't stop it. You gotta back up. Nope. Spam a few needles. We don't want to die and lose our Uber charge, so we're going to go up high and look for some health packs. Or, yeah, here we go. It's a nice big fat health pack. A nice big fatty. We'll roll it up and apply it to our wounds. Yeah, we need to get down here and help these dudes. So, excuse me. If you've been following along in the streams, I've been using... I have a lot of free time at work at night. It's night security, and most of it is just keeping yourself occupied, watching movies, playing games, so that you don't lose your mind. And I did start losing my mind. A lot of it just comes down to needing... sorry, I'm focused on what I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Damn, I lost my Uber charge. A lot of times at night, I would just be scrolling through stupid bullshit. There's only so many, movies you can watch on Tubi or whatever, There's only... Even though there's, a bevy of things out there to choose from, eventually, you kind of use it all up, and you start scrolling through crap, and, I found myself going through these phases where I was just looking at all the stuff in my feed, but not actually watching any of it. Or, I would get too tired to play games, or it would just get too boring and repetitive and things like that. This fucking demo man behind us. Try to keep everybody alive and not lose the game, and damn, there's a lot going on. So, you get sick of all the same old games, you get sick of all the same old movies, and you start just doom scrolling until, you realize you've wasted a couple of hours just going through, and your YouTube's run out of videos to recommend you, and there we go, got that guy. See what I mean? There's kind of too many angles for guys to surround you and come at you from all directions on this Venice map. Some people may like that, but it's how do you defend all of these fucking entrances and angles and all this bullshit? It's tough to do. So I started deciding, instead of just watching crap or scrolling or playing the same old stuff over and over again and slowly getting bored of it, to try and work on my own games, to try and teach myself a game engine, which I've tried to do for a long time, but it's just difficult because Like, I am an art kid. I grew up drawing in art classes. Oh shit, oh shit. Here we go. Come on, buddy, you got it. Get in there and fuck them up. Yeah, there you go. Show them what for. Yeah, so as I was saying, I'm an art kid. I want to color, I want to paint, I want to draw, I want to sit there for hours engrossed in putting an image from my mind to my hand to the page, right? So that's basically what it amounts to. Woo. You got us. I shouldn't have went in there. And making a game is very different. It looks like it would be similar because games are full of art and assets and colorful drawings and beautiful, you know, textures and cool models and skins. And so you think when you make a game, you're just going to get to go in and be like, yeah, I'm doing all that stuff. And it's not true, really. It's a lot of, like, placing, like, setting up the game in its initial skeleton is a lot of just, like, placing 3D objects, drawing paths, connecting things, making sure they, you know, zones overlap and blocking out where your characters are going to go and where the enemies are going to spawn from and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it is just, especially placing objects, you're just putting shit along an X, Y, Z axis, changing its rotation, changing its scale. And that amounts to basically typing a bunch of fucking numbers into a window. And it doesn't feel creative or fun. It feels tedious, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You kind of have to, like, painstakingly learn all that shit. It's like a slow process. And it feels counterintuitive for an artistic person, just from my opinion. This dude has a spy, yep. I tried to get him, but he... Look at this weird shit. He's got all this overheal, even though I shot him like 5 fucking times. It might be the conniver's kunai, but that's why I always think that fucking spies are cheating. It's like, I just shot you 10 million fucking times and you have this full health bar. Cheating ass motherfucker. I think a lot of people do cheat in Team Fortress because it's an old game and we have like a, it's called VAC, is like the security system, but it's not good at catching everything. Like, I catch people aimbotting and you have to just kick them and blacklist them and stuff, and it's like, for a game this old, I think cheating systems are too sophisticated for their, you know, house security system to catch it all. Some things I guess it can still pick up on, but yeah. So making games, the boring, like, bare bones skeleton part of it is very tedious for somebody who's not already inclined to doing that kind of stuff or finding that kind of work enjoyable. And so it was like a huge barrier of entry, a huge obstacle for me to get into it, and I kept, you know, talking about the kinds of games that I would make. I would go to the Unity store and I would browse the assets. Like, wow, I could spend all this money on little bullshit that I could put in the game. Yay, we won. But I never did anything with it. I just kind of, like, dreamed shit up. And I would just sort of mess around and watch videos, and then I would realize those videos were kind of poor tutorials and they were not really going to explain to me what I wanted to do correctly, and then it was a big fucking waste of time, more or less. So I put it off for a long time, and then one night I just got completely bored. I had to shut my computer down and go take a walk because I was tired of looking at shit online. It was just, you know, after a while watching YouTube, you kind of feel like your brain is like being attacked by all the shit that's being suggested to you in your algorithm. and I had to get away from it. And so I just put it into ChatGPT, the kind of stuff that I was thinking about doing, to see if it would sort of write me a rough outline that I could get into and kind of follow. And so I told it my initial idea, and it plotted out this big, long fucking bullshit thing. And I was like, okay, that sounds about right. I was like, assume that I am in a project. I'm writing this in the prompts. And assume that, I'm a novice, and just tell me the first thing to do and start step by step. So it kind of does that. But it was taking a lot of my overall plan into kind of consideration. So it kept trying to do things at this grand scale, and it would start me on the first step of this long, complicated project, and then there would be inevitable problems. There's always, oh shit, that's a spy. If you ever collide with one of your teammates and can't walk through them, the betting odds are is that it's a spy. Like, this guy's walking all weird, so of course we want to treat him like he's a spy. Oh, we just passed another spy. Place is lousy with them. So yeah, you try to give me the first step in a big long plan, and that's not feasible, because it would mess something up. Then it would go, oh, I didn't realize what you were trying to do. Oh, now I see better what you were talking about. And it would change the entire plan, and I would have to start over and start working on some other shit. And one night a couple of nights ago, I wasted basically 4 hours doing a bunch of nonsense that the fucking thing was trying to tell me. It kept not working. So, I talked with my friend who's Evil Ugg, who's a lot better at these kind of things. He told me, sort of break it up in chunks and work on one thing at a time. So, got that guy with the baseball bat. A lot of spies. I just heard another one go. Trying to bat this guy, but I just couldn't get to him. So I'm trying to make what amounts to a Dota clone, League of Legends clone, a multi-player online battle arena, a MOBA, all those kind of things. A top-down, character-focused, real-time strategy sort of. Damn these fuckers. Yeah, I heard you, you fucking cocksucker. He shot me a few times and then knifed me in the face. So in order to make progress, I took a new approach with it last night, and I just asked it, hey, we're going to try this, start this project over again. I've deleted all this old shit. Here's what we've got left. Help me build the fountain, right? So you just ask it. Just ask it to help you build one thing, basically. And it never does. It's always acts like it's trying to think, 3 or 4 steps ahead of you, and it's planning all this other shit and referencing your previous conversations and keeping it all in mind like a girlfriend who never forgets. And so, but you have to slow it down, and you have to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to that's a better way to deal with spies than what I was doing. There you go, Scouty. There we go, we got that guy. Flick that away. We don't want to lose this point because there's only 5 seconds left on the clock. We got to hold it for just 30 seconds and we win. But so the first thing I tried to do was ask ChatGPT to help me build the fountain. And it built the fountain. And then we built the Nexus. And then we built the Nexus towers. We're going to lose this. Fucking stupid idiots. We only had 10 seconds left to hold it, and you couldn't even fucking do that. So, a bunch of stupid losers. Step by step, we were able to get it to do these little things, and then, it would mess things up. It's like, it's not looking at my game project, right? It's a large language model that's guessing things based on X and Y and coordinates and logic and symmetry and things. So it would make all these changes and it would say, oh, add this. This is the back wall of the fountain. At first it had the fountain in front of the Nexus, which I was like, nope, don't do that. That's stupid. And we switched their positions. I had to correct that. Then it tried to build walls around the fountain because the fountain is a place where your characters respawn. It's where they buy items. It's where they can go back to be fully healed if the base is being sieged, so it needs to be in the back. And then we tried to build walls around the Nexus so that, you can't walk out through the back of the map and clip around it and stuff. And you had to make a lot of adjustments because it would put this object in there. It would tell you to put it at XYZ. And you can look at the map and you can tell it's not fucking right. It's some weird wild position, or the wall's not, the back wall's too far into the middle of the Nexus. It's not far enough back. The walls aren't touching, so forth and so on. So trial and error, we just sort of got all that worked out until we had a nice little base. And then it started working on getting like a path for the lanes from the center of the base where starting at the Nexus, the minions will spawn and start rocking out. And then we had to start working on the river. And the river was a huge pain because it got a lot of shit wrong. It didn't really understand at all what we were going for at first. So I had to keep explaining why this needs to be positioned such and such, how to make the adjustments, how it's not aligned properly with the center of the map, how it needs to move further to the northwest by such and such amount of units. And, at one point I was just like, well, fuck, like I'm giving more instruction to this thing than it's giving to me. But nevertheless, we made progress, and by the end of the night, I got to a point where I had a red base, I had a fountain with walls around it, I had a Nexus with 2 Nexus turrets, a lane for, I guess, at least the initial minions to travel out of the Nexus towards the enemy base, and the river. We got the banks of the river drawn, and we threw in an object that's going to be the water texture, I guess, on the river. And tonight, I imagine when I go back and sit down with it, it's going to be a lot of copying and mirroring the red base, which shouldn't be too hard since we already have a version of it ready on the red side. So, my first attempt, this is normal. Like, the first time I used ChatGPT to try and help me program a game or to build a map is really all I want to do at first. I just want to get the Summoner's Rift style map created. And then we can worry about all the meshes and the spawning and the minions and all the behaviors of things and shit. But if the objects on the map aren't placed right and they don't constitute, properly the areas that everybody can walk and the little hubs where, what the fuck is going on? Why is it taking so long to find a match? If all those things aren't in place before you start spawning in characters and adding movement and whatever, it's like, I want to get all the map done first. Because once the map's done, it's really like a matter of making sure that everything, especially the minions, the regular creep waves, they need to spawn, they need to run down the lane, they need to collide with each other and fight. They need to keep moving, once if there's any left out of the creeps, they need to keep moving, and then they need to attack the towers. You have to figure out a way to get those creeps to passively attack each other in the towers, but then also aggro enemy champions, especially if enemy champions attack another enemy champion. All the minions are supposed to aggro the attacker. So there's all these little things to think of. It can seem daunting at first when you're not accustomed to doing any kind of programming or working within any kind of game engine, but Unity, it makes it really simple compared to just trying to open like a script box and write a bunch of fucking C# to make a game. I mean, I think that would just drive me insane trying to do that. So it's not as hard as you would think. A lot of it is placing objects and placing zones, making sure they're sized and positioned appropriately. Like there's just going to have to be a zone for each jungle camp. There's going to be, things like that to figure out. But I feel like if you can get the map done, a huge chunk of your work is done. And then the rest of it is just things like making characters or making, making neutral monsters or making creeps. I mean, really, like, once you get all the creeps and the neutral monsters done, you have nothing left to do but to make individual characters and to make sure that it all is simpatico and that it all runs correctly. For some reason, we're not getting in a match. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let's just check all the maps and see if that helps. I don't know if there's like a server issue or... But if there was, all these things would be broken and it would be saying, like, there would be a broken plug showing that we can't connect. So I don't know what's up. It's unusual. Usually it does not take this long to get in a match. That's why we could just kind of like go again and again and again. I'm going to leave you here for a second and tab out while I try to investigate. User reports show possible problems with Team Fortress 2. Since 3 p.m. there's been 13... Since 3:56 there's been 13 reports about problems with it. Looks like the last time it was down was about a month ago. People were complaining about it in the comments on this down detector. Well, that kind of puts a damper on the daily TF2 stream if the servers are messed up and there's not going to be any matches. Before we give up, let me see. We've completed 22 tours on Man vs. Machine. We got really lucky last time. We need a little ticket to play this one, and I'm not going to do that on screen, show all my Steam stuff, so... Well, I'm kind of at a loss. Let's try to search again. Maybe it's eased up a little bit. We'll just leave it in the queue. So we've made good progress with ChatGPT in Unity. if you're using an AI or some other kind of large language model as your tutor to try and walk you through the steps of doing these various kind of things, teaching yourself whatever you want to do, I resorted to AI because I want to make a very specific kind of game, and it's not popular. Well, I don't want to say it's not popular because it's still one of the largest played genres or largest stream genres. Most, when I asked AI sort of what games were the most popular to stream, it's still League of Legends. So people watch it, but I don't feel like it's like a big, hot, fashionable game mode that everybody's talking about and engaging in. I think it's still just sort of a niche community that has held on to a large portion of its old player base. So, let me figure out what to do with this Team Fortress situation where the maps are not working or loading. Yes, we are detecting problems with Team Fortress 2 that began 17 minutes ago. The last outage detected for Team Fortress 2 was on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026, with a duration of about 51 minutes. And it spiked up here around 4 o'clock today, so other people are having problems with it as well. It's not just us. A user from the UK, a user from China, a user from Poland, a user from Latvia. They've all reported problems. Well, I don't think we're getting into a game. We'll leave it queued just in case to see what happens, but we can keep talking for a little while. Oh, let's take a look at the community market, or the market, I guess. We want to see what this looks like. This is a taunt from the spy, where he puts on a mask and talks some shit to people after they're dead. There's a pyro taunt, friendly fire, where he pulls out the fire extinguisher, and I wonder if that taunt actually extinguishes your teammates and stuff. That would be interesting to find out. This is the only taunt that I have for the scout. It's specifically a man versus machine taunt because you don't get money in the other game modes. You do get money in man versus machine. The robots are powered by money, so when you kill them, they drop money. That's part of the lore. Another man versus machine taunt. This is why people think that we're getting an update. Heavy breaking a robot in half. That's pretty cool. This is a new one they just added for the soldier, where the buffoon's bivouac, where he just posts up his hammock here and chills out. These are all taunts that you can press or that you can activate by pressing G. Some of these, like the critical fail, you can see they apply to a variety of classes. I kind of like that. You need something that they're going to be able to see in the kill cam. Because what you do is you kill people and then you taunt immediately. And then they have to watch you do your funny little thing while they lay there dead on the ground waiting for the respawn to kick in. Here's another multi-class taunt where they put up a flag. I kind of like this. I like the whole planting a flag is kind of awesome. If I open some of these in cases, that would be cool, but I have one taunt and I kind of don't want to just pay for a bunch of cosmetic shit. Although I do like the thrill of opening cases and, maybe getting a strange or an unusual or a rare item that might be worth a lot of money. That's always just kind of fun.
Start praying, boy.
That's a cool taunt. I like, here we go, the scout by the posing by the gravestone. The classic meme. There's a commending clap. Let's see. Oh, we're kill people when you give them condescending little golf clap.
Well done. Pure butt. Oh, perfect. He's nice.
Oh, I like the pyros the best. This one's cool, but yeah. It has to get the message across like right in the early stages of the taunt, because they're not going to see the end of it. They're just going to see, I like this one too. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it doesn't show anybody else, but I think you're in a coffin in the game. When you do that, I don't know why it doesn't show it. Maybe not. I like that one. Let's see. A lot of people here we go, is the spy dancing with somebody.
Dance like no one's shooting at us.
A lot of people like these style where they have like a little vehicle that they spawn, and then you can kind of scoot around in it. I think there's one with like bumper cars that kind of does the same thing. This one's the demo man rowing around in a boat. That's interesting. Demo man on a little cannon I kind of like better. I like the cannon. You see the wheels rolling, so while you're taunting you can kind of roll around like this. Pyro's got a bike. I like this one. It's got a tricycle. Yep, and then where's the old classic? We can take a look at the medics. The medic gets a little ambulance. Here we go, the old Dr. Strangelove bomb. I like that one. That's a cool vehicle to ride around. The Dr. Strangelove bomb is nice. Pyro playing the piano for you. Oh, it's a little tiny piano he plays for you when you're dead. Little Scooty Puff Jr. Little tiny Scooty Scoot. The engineer's got a... Oh, what's happening? Maybe it's not going to show us anymore? This one shows us. But the graphic is missing. And then... if you're a Metal Gear Solid fan, you can get this taunt for the spy. Just be in a box, sort of moving around. A lot of taunts require another person. So like for this one, you set up. And then when somebody comes up and taunts, you give them the backflip. They do a backflip. There's a rock, paper, scissors minigame taunt you can play. Where the other person will come up and they'll play rock, paper, scissors with you, and whoever wins, the other person gets exploded. It's kind of funny. I thought there was like a little bumper car taunt that almost everybody could use I was looking for. I guess I missed it somewhere. Ah, here we go. The victory lap. So this one's, if you want one that's not specific to a class that you can use for everybody, you can get the victory lap. And they'll drive a little bumper car around it. I like this one. It's pretty cool. This might be one of the only ones that I would consider getting, or some of the universal ones like the rock, paper, scissors. It's kind of funny for messing around in the pregame lobby. We're still messed up on our matchmaking, so I'm going to cancel it out and try again. Maybe it's come back online. The server's not like disconnected because we can get to our items. Like, this is my backpack. I found a bunch of backpack extenders, so I have like a ton of pages for the extra items that aren't filled, but it's always nice to have that because if you play a lot of man versus machine, you can see you get a ton of these damn robot parts and they suck up space in your backpack, and sometimes you don't have the ones you need and you have to wait until you can get the parts for these fabricators to actually make them work. I still have a war paint that I haven't used, ocean map. Let's use it. I have an ocean mapped item already. I think it's a brass beast. But so war paints will give you an item that's painted a cool color, and I think there's a chance for it to be rare. I've got a rare grenade launcher by doing that. I mean a strange one. So yeah, my demo man's stock grenade launcher is a strange Halloween. One of these Halloween war paint. I try to find items that I'm going to use in case it's something cool, but then you end up with like a lot of copies and duplicates. You want to find something that the war paint actually looks good on. Ocean mapped. Detonator. The disciplinary action. You can have a painted whip. Some of these it looks like it's kind of a waste, but flamethrower. I've already got a ton of flamethrowers because I played a lot of pyro. Yeah, I try to pick something that I would use. The holy mackerel. You can have a fish with the ocean map skin. The funny thing about the fish skins is that a lot of them, it kind of works. Iron Bomber, let's see. They don't really have painted Kritzkriegs, which is the metagun that gives you crits instead of Ubercharge, or else I would maybe try one of those. See, it's not available. It would be down here in the K's, but you can only get a knife. It's not the Kritzkrieg because it's not up here. Ubersaw. I think I'm using a vintage Ubersaw right now, so we'll just go ahead and redeem this one. It'll give me an option. Maybe it'll be a cool one. Nope, it's just regular, but that's okay. We've got one now. I like to sort my backpack by type so that all these weird items are up here in the front. I actually have enough tokens to smelt, so we're going to smelt some tokens. This creates reclaimed metal when you do that. You can go to the backpack, you can see I have 2 reclaimed metal. 3 reclaimed metal will combine into refined metal, and then 3 refined metal will give you a random hat. So I'm trying to see, are there other things that I have crafted? It was not my intention to just be talking about all this random TF2 shit. Usually TF2 is the game that I play when I want to just ramble about other things, but we're locked out of the queue due to server issues right now. And I didn't really get to stream long enough before this all started up, so I'm just going to run my mouth for a little while. If you want to look through my backpack, you can see I have a ton of stuff, a ton of Halloween stuff. Some duplicates of things. You get drops random items as you play, so you'll end up with some duplicates like Also, if you had old versions of the game before they started doing hats or dropping items randomly, you could only get these items through like unlocks basically, and so they gave you a vintage version. So I have a vintage Bloodslogger because it was an old item that I had before they introduced hats to the game and random drops. Let's see. We're going to sort by loadout slots so we can find what we're looking for a little bit more easily. Now all the melee weapons are here together. Here is the Uber Saw that I just unlocked. The Uber Saw is a medic melee item that has a slower firing speed, but when you hit people, it gives you 25% of your Uber charge. And a lot of people just consider this to be a straight up upgrade to the regular Saw. Almost all medics, I think, play with this equipped because it's really useful to get your Uber charge built up. I, of course, am using the somewhat threatening Solemn Vow. Somewhat threatening is given to it by the strange quality because I only have 82 kills on it. It's okay. But this allows you to see enemy health. Like, as a medic, you can see how much health your team has, and that's really useful for healing them and making sure the right people get your attention. But unless you have the Solemn Vow equipped, you can't see the enemy health. You don't know how much health they have. To me, having this equipped and seeing the enemy health, it's hard to go back to not seeing it once you're used to having this available, because you can, if you see somebody with low health, you could finish them off. If you see somebody who's way overhealed, you just run away from them. And once you have it, and then you switch back to something like the Uber Saw and you can't see their health anymore, you start to go, it's almost like the game's messed up. You're like, what happened? How come I can't see it anymore? I need to smelt some more objects because I have a ton of duplicates here. You can see some of them I'm using, but I just get engrossed in the game and I forget about the sort of crafting mini game for a while. Other things I've gotten, this is from doing contracts in the mission. The contract, what is it called? The Contractor. It keeps track of your contracts. There's one for Pyroland. You can click on these things and unlock various stuff by completing them. And then this is the Mercenary Park series. This came out for the Jungle Inferno update, and it was kind of like a live thing that you could do. And the event's over now, but you could still go through do the contracts for fun and unlock things. But you start out, it's a free-for-all, and you just have to complete it. But you can get stars by doing extra objectives. So score 10 points in a single life, be the MVP at the end of a round. It's not that hard. I just got it and moved on to the next things. And then eventually, once you have enough stars, you can get in and do this. It takes like 20 stars, I think. And then it'll give you the skin for that Dragon Slayer gun. I used it on... What did I use it on? The Dragon's Fury, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Dragon's Fury. So this is a non-standard flamethrower. Instead of spewing flame, it launches projectiles. They go really fast, so it just seems like a quick shot. But they'll set you on fire. So it's kind of similar to the flamethrower if you get hit with the projectile. And then it deals 300 damage to burning players. So you hit them with the first one, and then if you can hit them again, it does a shit ton of damage because they're already on fire. That's kind of the method. And this is not a bad weapon. I had to use it for a while to achieve objectives and unlock things on the tracker for the contracts. It works better than you would think as just a straight offense weapon. I still think the stock flamethrower is more useful. There's my face melting flamethrower, and this is my Festivized Smithmas sweater flamethrower. for Smithmas, but there definitely is a case to be made for this. Like you could say that I'm really good with this, or I practice with it, and that you could probably develop a play style around using this Dragon's Fury. We're still not in matches, so I'm gonna cancel it and try to re-queue up again just in case something might have changed. Yeah, so you got different sort of loadouts. You can set them up here on your individual class profiles, but so for me, kind of the standard is we use the regular scattergun, which is often considered the best for the scout. We use the capper, which is just a pistol. It's the exact same as the pistol, but it looks cool and it has sci-fi sound effects. These are both stock items, so the scattergun and the pistol. And then the atomizer, I would say, is just kind of a straight upgrade to the scout's normal bat because it gives you a triple jump, and while you're in the air, you get mini crits. That's kind of cool. Melee attacks mini crit people while you're in the air, but it's minus 15% damage, and it deploys slower. But having that triple jump while you have it out can get you into places that you wouldn't normally be able to get, and you really kind of want to come at people from weird oblique angles as a scout, so you have every advantage. This is the loadout that I use the most in the scout. The shortstop, just because I like it. It's a side grade to the scattergun. The scattergun has 6 shots. It fires more slowly, and you have to reload them all sequentially. So you have to sit there and click, 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 click. You have to wait for it to load all 6. The shortstop only has 4 shots, but they fire rapidly and a tighter spread of bullets. So which means you can shoot it at a range. The grouping of the pellets that come out stays closer together, and it's better for shooting people at a range. The main thing is when you reload it, it's only 4 shots, but it reloads all 4 shots at one time. So you watch one reload animation, and then you get the full clip back in your gun. I use the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol because it doesn't do any less damage than the normal pistol. It fires faster and it gives you health on hit. It's a negligible amount, but it does give it to you. The downside is it has a smaller clip, so you're only going to shoot 9 bullets before you got to reload, but most of the time I use this to finish people off after I've run out of bullets in the shortstop, so you don't need all 9 of those all the time. This is another variant that I'm using. It's almost the same, but you use the Wrap Assassin. So it's a melee weapon that's basically wrapping paper. It does minus 65% damage. So there's almost no reason to hit somebody with it in melee. But you can bat a little Christmas ornament at your enemies, like a baseball. And when it hits them, it shatters and it causes bleed. So that's really useful especially if you pair it with the Flying Guillotine, which replaces your pistol. You throw a little cleaver, and it also makes people bleed. So you can get the double bleed on them if you have something like this. But now you don't have like a... Ooh, you can select the style. It's thirsty or thirstier. You can make it bloody. So with these 2 items causing bleed, you can theoretically stack it up. I find it's almost never worth it to have both of those in practice because now you're waiting on 2 of your items to recharge, but you could make a case for it. You could maybe sell me on it if you... And this is just the 3rd loadout, or a 4th loadout that I have with some different items. The Force of Nature pushes people back, smaller clip size, and it only fires 2 shots, but it has a huge amount of knockback, and it has more bullets per shot. So theoretically, you could deal more damage close up if you hit them with both shots. The Bonk Punch makes you invulnerable for 8 seconds, so you drink this and you kind of become hazy, and nothing can hit you. But based on how much of damage you absorbed while you were drinking this, you become slow at the end. That didn't used to happen. So that's something that they added on in later updates. And then the Candy Cane, you take more explosive damage, but when you kill people, they drop health packs. That's a lot more useful than you might think. Just having little health packs drop down on the ground. Got a summer style and a winter style. I don't know the difference. It's like slightly more yellowish. We're going to go back to the summer style on this. We like the crisp white. That's the scout loadout. We won't go through all of these for each individual class, but for the main ones that I use the most, this is the airstrike. I think it is a little bit better than the stock rocket launcher. Like the stock rocket launcher just fires 4 rockets. It's got like I think you got 20 rockets in your ammo capacity. This one, you take less damage from rocket jumps, so you can rocket jump more easily. That's already better. And then while you're like rocket jumped up in the air, you get more attack speed. Your rockets have a smaller blast radius. And you get, this is one that's often overlooked, but you get your clip size increased on kill. So normally you can only load 4 rockets, but let's say you have a kill now, and you haven't died yet, you can load 5 rockets. Let's say you get another kill, you can load 6 rockets. I don't know how high up it goes, but you can put a lot of rockets in the clip if you don't die and you keep racking up kills. You can combine this with something like the base jumper, which when you jump, you can hold the space key and you'll slowly descend like a parachute. So then you can just be up in the air and you can fire, 8 rockets rapid fire based on how many kills you got. So I like this weapon. I don't use it with the base jumper stock because you lose a secondary item. I like these banners. But honestly, if we're being honest, the reserve shooter does extra damage to people in the air. Mini crits them if they're launched by explosions, grapple hooks, or rocket packs. That might be a decent one. The normal shotgun, though, is probably your best side item. We use the escape plan because it gives you more move speed based on how injured you are. So if you get down to like 10 HP and you pull this thing out, you're going to run like the Roadrunner. Pyro, I like the stock flamethrower. Obviously, I have one with 1,414 kills on it. Like the regular shotgun, I like the power jack because when you pull it out, you run faster. It also gives you plus 25 health on kill. The downside is you're more vulnerable to damage by 20% while you're holding it. Not all the time, just while it's out. So keep that in mind. The Demo Man, this is the Persian Persuader build. It's really fun, but the main one that I use is the stock grenade launcher, which just fires 4 pills that roll around on the ground for a minute before they explode. Direct hits on enemies do a lot of damage. And then the Quickie Bomb launcher, shorter charge time. So with Quickie Bombs, you can hold down the fire button, it'll charge up, and then when you finally fire it, the bomb will go farther. It's good for lobbing bombs long distances. This one charges up faster, and it only has, instead of 8 shots, it only has 4 before you have to reload. But when you charge up the bombs, it does more damage, up to 35% based on how much you charged it. So if you're in a duel with a sniper and you just hold the button down on this to charge it up and fire it towards the sniper, it'll go longer and then it'll do more damage when it blows up. I've gotten in some duels with snipers over that. I think the Quickie Bomb launcher there's a very good case to make for it being a useful Demo Man item, but most people will just use the stock Sticky Bomb launcher, and the bottle is the stock item. I mostly use it because I like it as an item. I think it's funny to just be hitting people with a bottle, but I have a strange one. Got 160 kills, and if you're going demo night, you use something like the Eyelander. That I have an unusual horseless, headless horseman's head taker, which cosmetically is different, but functionally is the same as the Eyelander. There's a lot of other swords, but those are the 2 main ones. You're going to use the bottle or the swords. Heavy. I got the Hulong heater right now, but stock minigun, second banana. It recharges faster, but gives you less healing. Normally, you don't need all the healing that the sandwich gives you, the stock sandwich. You can also take a shotgun as a heavy. It's perfectly viable, but I like the banana. And then the gloves of running urgently. When you pull them out, you move faster. For the engineer, I got the stock shotgun, the stock pistol. I like the Southern Hospitality because it causes bleed on hit. It gives you more fire damage vulnerability, but that's a negligible. It doesn't matter to me. The good thing about having this bleed on hit is you're dealing with spies a lot as an engineer. And if you hit them with your wrench and they go invisible, they're still going to bleed and take damage, and you can kind of track where they're going or maybe finish them off if they only have a little bit of health. For a medic, you have kind of two builds. So I use the Blutsauger, which gives you -2 health regenerated per second, but you get +3 health on hit. And unlike the other Pretty Boy's pocket pistol, there's a ton of bullets in the syringe gun, and it fires really quickly. So you can retreat and you can spam this, and you can gain health as your opponent loses health. It's a good way to get away. I like it. It's just my preferred playstyle. We got the stock metagun. It's already done a lot of healing. Already got 42 kill assists, but this is a low, strange weapon. We just started farming stats on it, so it's unremarkable. Boo. Somewhat threatening Solemn Vow. The other loadout that you're going to use for medic most of the time is your primary of choice. Most people recommend this Crusader's Crossbow. I do not care for it. Then you would use the Crits Krieg, which is the same as the Metagun, but it gives you crits while you're uber charged rather than invincibility. So it can be good on defense, especially if you have a heavy or a rocket, a soldier, or a demo. Those are the three I recommend giving the crits to, because their items, whenever they have critical hits, will do a shit ton of damage. And then, of course, you use the Uber Saw to charge up your stuff. I don't play a lot of sniper, but if I did, I would probably do something like this. Use the bow. The Girardi is a jar of piss you throw at people. It can reveal spies, and anybody covered in this piss takes mini crits. It's a bad time. This is just the stock melee weapon, the kukri for the sniper, but where were we? You can also use the Tribalman Shiv, which gives bleed. A lot of people use the Bushwhacker because it crits whenever it would normally mini crit, right? So you throw the jar of piss on them so that you get mini crits, and then you pull this out and it crits instead of mini critting. So this is a pretty good item. It has the same flaw as the Power Jack in that it gives you more damage vulnerability when it's item. So it's a trade when it's active. So whenever you have this pulled out, you take more damage. It's kind of a high risk, high reward. I have a strange Sydney Sleeper, which is a rifle that covers people in piss. That's why it's my first one. You can see all these things sort of combo together. But I think what most people would do is use the stock sniper rifle, or maybe the stock sniper rifle, the SMG. I got the Shiv here. Maybe you would use the Machina or the Hitman's Heatmaker. The Bizarre Bargain I've seen people use a lot just as their regular sniper weapon. So each scoped headshot kill increases the weapon's charge rate by 25% up to 200%. This has something to do with how long you're looking through the scope, I think. You get a higher charge rate, or how long your bead is on the target before you fire. I'm not sure exactly. I hate snipers and I don't play it that often. So for the spy loadout, we're just using the stock revolver. It's great. It does a lot of damage, and you can usually kill people or finish them off with it. We use the spy sickle as our knife. It gives you fireproof for 1 second and immunity to afterburn. but when you're set on fire, it melts, and you have to wait for it to recharge. It also turns your backstab victims into an ice statue, so people know when you're around if you're killing people with this. And then I use the Dead Ringer. The Dead Ringer doesn't turn you invisible automatically as your watch. You usually have some kind of invisibility watch as a spy. With the Dead Ringer, you pull it out, and you're holding it in front of you, and then when you take damage, you drop a fake corpse, and you turn invisible. So the enemy thinks that they killed you unless they kind of know your shenanigans, and then you can sort of walk away and put on a costume, change into one of the enemy team while you're invisible. But yeah, the Dead Ringer is really good if there's things that are just trapping you or doing a bunch of damage. Like if you're stuck in the spawn or if you're getting sniped, you just pull this out. And then, yeah, they hit you and it looks like you die, but you get away with some health. So those are the loadouts that I use. Sorry that the game has sort of crashed and isn't working anymore. I'd like to stream some more and talk some more with you, but it looks like we're stuck with no game to watch. So I'll give it one more shot to see if we can connect to the servers. If we can't connect, then we'll call it a day, but we've been going for a good little while at this point anyway. Could be sort of a natural stopping point. I'd like to get into some other stuff on some of these streams, like maybe conspiracy talk, deep in the world of conspiracy, or I've kind of turned away from a lot of it because, you know, I think they put a lot of misinformation out and a lot of disinformation, and a lot of it is kind of this psychological operation that they're conducting on you by getting you sucked into this lurid world of stories and conspiracies and horrible possible things that could be going on. It's like almost a form of entertainment for some people. You know, I try to find the things that I believe are really going on so that I can stay aware of them and call them out and criticize them and be a detractor. But a lot of it is just fake horse shit. And it's there to like pull you into some world or keep you distracted or keep you busy. There's a great guy that I found out by watching Kurt Metzger. Kurt Metzger is a modern comedian who is heavily in the deep end of conspiracy stuff, and he knows a lot of people that have good knowledge, good scholarly knowledge, and he interacts with them. So I watch his shows a lot because he's funny and because he gets good guests. And he's currently doing a podcast with Duncan Trussell called Mystery Boys that seems to be pretty popular. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, you can check out Mystery Boys. They put on goofy costumes and talk shit about, you know, Duncan Trussell is sort of this hippy dippy guy who is into a lot of occult and esoteric stuff, kind of shares similar interests as me. That's sort of been my gold standard for fields of interest throughout my life. And Kurt Metzger's in it as well. He's sort of in that pool of people who are interested in conspiracies, and you know, there's a spiritual side, there's a supernatural side, there's a government side to it all, a black ops, you know, spycraft kind of side to it. They overlap in a lot of ways that you wouldn't think. So that's an interesting world to dive into. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Kurt Metzger introduced me to this guy, Mark Windows. He has a channel called Windows on the World. You should definitely check him out if you're interested in just having long form sort of conspiracy stuff to listen to in the background. But one of the points that he makes and drives home is about what he calls Egyptian crowd control, right? And it's more or less the model that is used all throughout civilizations, all throughout history up to this current day, where you have a priest class, and the priest class is in control of the worldview of the people, more or less, right? They They control the images, the stories, the myths, the religious beliefs, the religious customs and traditions and rites and rituals. The priest class sort of controls all of that shit as this mechanism to govern the society. And so there's a priest class. They anoint a ruler class like kings. In Hinduism and India, you have this as like it exists as the Brahmin class and the Kshatriyas. The Brahmins are the priests who are the ultimate authority because, right, they divine their authority from God. But the Kshatriyas get their authority from the Brahmins, who sort of ordain them as representatives for the divine on earth. And so the premise behind Egyptian crowd control is that the priest class appoints these kings, and then they give them a bunch of afterlife homework. They give them a bunch of bullshit they have to do all day to be right with God and to make sure they still have all their stuff in the afterlife, right? Like pharaohs are buried with all their crap, and sometimes they're buried with their servants, and sometimes they would even make people feed the gods real food or the dead ancestors real food so that they would have something to eat in the afterlife. People would make real food and leave it at the statue or leave it at the altar or the grave or the burial site. So really what it amounts to, Egyptian crowd control, is the priest class giving everybody else a bunch of bullshit that keeps them busy so that they're more governable, right? And this goes for the people too, right? The priest class has their own secret set of beliefs and rules, and usually it's nothing. Usually, like, what they believe at the core is sort of this nihilistic, reductionist, materialist sort of practical way of looking at the world. They don't believe in all the things. They don't practice what they preach, right? The priest class does not believe in Osiris and Isis and all this shit. Or maybe they do, maybe a lot of them do, but there's almost always a circle of people at the very top who are just using it as a control mechanism. And that's kind of, if you're religious and you take offense to this, I'm not trying to say that whatever supernatural thing you believe in isn't real. I'm saying regardless of whether it's real or not, the people in control of the world are using it to manipulate you. Right? And they always do this. All the religions, all the governments, all the credos and customs that have ever been invented. What they do is they find something that's universally important to all people, right? Like, won't somebody think of the children? We all love the children. Nobody wants to see bad things happen to the children. So that's a universal thing that a manipulative psychological priest class can enshrine and ascribe value to and associate other things with to draw you into it, right? So another example would be like Black Lives Matter or the Pride movements or whatever. Like, the people who orchestrate and conduct these movements to rally all of you and get you whipped up over a cause and to exploit you and to sell you bumper stickers and t-shirts and to make you go out there and fight with your fellow man, they don't believe any of that shit, right? The Black Lives Matter people are taking the money for themselves and spending it on houses and cars and shit. They're not spending it on whatever, the fucking advancement of black civil rights or whatever that movement's supposed to be about. That doesn't mean that those things that it's pretending to be about aren't valuable. That they are. They use that to get you in. They hooked you with something that's valuable to you, and now they plug you into this system where they can make you run around, fight with people, say slogans online, stand in an area and shout at a politician to make him look bad, sell a bunch of fucking Black Lives Matter t-shirts or pride stickers or whatever the fuck it is that they're hawking to you. All of that is a form of Egyptian crowd control. And I mean, so it could be religion, it could just be whatever your pet cause is. You have to be wary of people who will take what's important to you or what's important to all human beings and to commodify it Essentially what they're doing is taking your beliefs and your values and they're turning them into a commodity that they can sell back to you. And so even if you don't think that these groups that maybe you're precious about are manipulating you the way that a government agency would try to manipulate you with a psychological operation, at the very least you have to concede that some moneyed interest has taken what you believe and what you value and turned it into a commodity that they can sell back to you, right? They're just putting a graven image of the things that you love on a sticker or a t-shirt, and they're selling it back to you. So I would caution you against being a joiner. I would caution you against throwing yourself into a movement. I would say good advice to escape Egyptian crowd control is to have values, to understand why you have those values and why you're important to them. You should be self-reflective and self-critical. But if your values end up withstanding that criticism, hang on to them. Stand fast, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. This is an old axiom, and what it basically means is if you don't have some kind of principle or character or values to your personality, you're going to look for that outside of yourself into the world. And somebody who doesn't have your best interest at heart is going to give it to you. They're going to give you a software program for your brain and your soul that's riddled with viruses that are designed to turn you into some kind of exploitable monkey. They want you to be bent towards a purpose, and who knows what that purpose is. It varies from individual to individual and from group to group. The best thing you can do is have a set of critical thinking skills that allow you to evaluate and tell good values from bad values. And whatever your values are, make sure you hold them for good reasons and don't be swayed by people who are just trying to sell you a dream. And I guess we're not getting into any more cues today, so we can get more into conspiracies and other things like that in other streams, but I appreciate you for watching along. I'm going to call it right here because I'm sure this is just boring to look at my never-ending loading screen. But I appreciate you for following, and give us a like, give us a comment if you want to see some other things. This weekend, Friday and Saturday, there's probably going to be a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics being streamed. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can watch along, and I'll try to sort of provide you a guide with how to get through the game and how to get every character and secret and item. I'm going to try to go through it for nostalgia purposes and get everything just like I did before. So we'll see how that goes. Once again, thanks for watching along.